Howdy mates, how are we doing? Here's the third video I wanted to make for today. So we finally found an excellent example of a Hepatica nobilis. So if we look very closely, you can actually see the bloom. And what's remarkable about the Hepatica is like the actual flower itself can rise quite far above where the roots are located. And here are its basal leaves. Kind of has like a distinguished shape to them. They usually come in triplets. And this is the part where why it's called Hepatica, because these leaves kind of have that liver-like shape to them, as I mentioned in my last video. And what's remarkable about these petals is, since I mentioned there are many different varieties of them, they can come in a wide array of different colors. So in that instance, the one we just saw, that was the color of white. But they can also be lavender color or even rose pink. So they come in quite a variety. But these are usually some of the earliest blooming flowers in this region of Ohio. Let's just say they like to outcompete with some of the other flowers that will eventually grow in this area. But usually these leaves that you see here, these were most likely from last year. So what they do first is they invest their energy towards the actual bloom of the flower itself first. And then, as spring progresses, we'll actually see some new basal leaves. So it's quite remarkable how this plant behaves in particular. But these indicate a very early sign that spring is coming soon. And they also like to bloom early because you figure since we're in a very woody habitat, they like to be able to receive as much sun as they can before all of the leaf canopy takes over. So that's another reason why the Hepatica in particular likes to bloom as early as it can. But we're essentially, since we are at Clifton Gorge now, these are all examples of talus slopes. So you may be thinking, like, what exactly does that refer to? That's basically where you have a little bit of an incline from past erosion of the soil and any of the rock that has fallen off the cliff. It will eventually lead up to the cliff face, where it is extremely steep. I mean, it's almost at a right angle, essentially. So usually it's at the talus slopes where you will see a lot of the spring flowers. So I just want to provide you guys one more little view, and that should about wrap up the video. Okay, give me just a moment. All right, here we go. Okay, so now we're at one of my favorite little spots that runs along Clifton Gorge. So here is the opportunity where you see those slump blocks right over there that have the northern white cedar growing on them, and the actual Little Miami River itself. So as always, the Little Miami River likes to take the path of least resistance. So that's why we have this little cascade that we see right here. So it will all eventually just pass through and make its way to this little pool right here that you see in the distance, which is where I was just a moment ago. But what's fascinating is at this particular spot, too, there used to be something known as the Nixon-Hagar Papermill. So it was basically a mill that used to be situated where the trail to my left is. They essentially used this cascade to power their mill back in the day. You probably figure way back in the mid 1800s or so. And since this place became a state nature preserve, they wanted that basically the mill was torn down, but you can still see some of its foundation. And now, as a result, we actually get to see the natural beauty of Clifton Gorge. So actually, forgive me, there's actually one more little view I want to show you guys, and then that should about wrap up the video. I figured since I'm in the area, I'm just going to show it. Alright, give me just a second. Alrighty, so now we're actually seeing the cascade directly. We're basically right above it now. So this is really where the riffles happen. And since spring is coming up soon and we may be subject to more rain coming soon, this stream is going to be very, very active. I mean, practically, like, all of this is covered. I mean, like, you can't even traverse in the area. And actually, as I was mentioning just a bit ago, see all those blocks there? Those are the remnants of the old foundation of the paper mill itself. And I actually took a picture of an interpretive sign, so you guys will be able to read up on it a bit further. And then if you actually look behind me, if you look behind me, up there is an example of a slump block cave. So it wasn't a cave formed by dissolution. In other words, the rock was never dissolved. It just simply, the rock had physical weathering and broke off the main cliff face, and as a result, it kind of leaned against the open area, and it kind of created that slump block cave, as you can see. And here is actually an interpretive sign that I will show you guys. So here it tells you a bit further about the slump block cave itself. So it's basically a different type. Separate than that of, for instance, if you went to Charleston Falls, for example. Irresistible, isn't it? It's alrighty. Thought I would share that with you guys. Hope you learned something in the video. Just covered quite a bit in this video, actually, more than I thought I would. A lot of it was just improv. How about that? So, alright. Hope all of you enjoy your Saturday, and Dirty on a Journey is out. Take care, folks.